You're here, right? You got 4 people out for Halloween, which that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, this is cis124 PowerPoint. It's a 5-week class. The news folks will be coming down at some point, just kind of not trying to interrupt anybody and taking some photos and leaving. They're promoting the myrbc.org website. Tonight we're going to go over week 1 intro, getting started, your capstone project, you'll find out more about that, and then finally podcast. Every session is podcasted, recorded, meaning what you see on the overhead is being recorded, and it'll be posted in that week's folder after that session, for those of you who have not had me before. So if you'll click on the, and by the way, those of you who don't have me before, when you come to class, this screen should be up on the overhead, and you'll be entering the pin, attendance pin, and I will generally also write it on the board for you, so you'll have it up there as well. If you come in a little bit late, it'll be there. Also on this screen here, you'll notice a course live chat. This is actually for you to come in and, if I'm logged in, ask a question, and it comes right to my phone or iPad, whatever I'm on at the time. Over here at the right side is your course mail. I suggest checking it at least once a day. Just going in and logging in real quick, see if there's anything on there. And that goes for any of your classes. Just to make sure there's no new messages from your professor or other students. If you're going to create a message to send to myself or other students, this is what you want to click on. RBC Eagle, for those of you who have not used it before or you're kind of been away for a while. It's internal email, meaning you can only email those people that are students here on campus. You can't email external email addresses like gmail.com, yahoo.com, msn.com, things like that. Okay? It's only for internal use only. Okay. Also, here on the left side of your screen is a task. If you click on task and go to milestones, it'll have the milestones for the course. You'll notice the first 2 are this week, about me, and a week 1 assignment. And then you've got a week 2 assignment, a week 3 assignment, and then finally a week 5 assignment. In between week 3 and week 5 is actually our Thanksgiving break. Week 5 is actually where you'll be presenting and giving a peer evaluation to everyone. So we'll go over that as well tonight. If you don't like this view of when things are due, you can actually go to the calendar. Click on the calendar tab. It will have in the calendar tab due dates. We're now in October, so if I go to November, due dates, the first 2 dates, due dates are Wednesday, November 7th, which should be a week from tonight. Everything is due a week from the session you're currently meeting on. And so you've got the About Me, which some of you have already completed, which we'll go over in a second, and the week 1 assignment. If you click on these, it'll actually bring you to the actual assignment on any of these. These dates are static and they're going to stay as is, so they're not going to change. If you'll go ahead and click on the Lessons tab with me real quick. In the Lessons tab, there's a top document called Getting Started. We'll go over in just a second. Course Documents will have documents for the course. And then you'll notice each week is broken down by the date we meet. Make sense? Let's go ahead and click on the Getting Started first. Make sure you purchased your textbook from the bookstore. They have a list in the bookstore. If you have not purchased one as yet, subscribe to the course podcast on iTunes. Also, read the course syllabus found in the Lessons and Documents area. And PowerPoint rubric, Lessons and Documents. Complete the About Me in week 1, and complete any other week 1 assignments found in week 1. So let's first of all go over the course podcast. I will be using iTunes for this session here. If you go into course documents, and I'm going to go and click on iTunes here, subscribing to course podcast. Is anybody familiar with iTunes? iTunes U. I know some of you have had me before, are familiar with it. But on Rock Valley College's website is a link for iTunes U. but these are the instructions to download iTunes on your computer, whether it be Mac or PC. It is free software. It doesn't cost anything. Once you download the software on number one, you'll go to iTunes U at rockvalleycollege.edu. It'll launch iTunes University for our class, and then you'll basically go right to our course, which it's titled PowerPoint 2007, even though we switched it to 2010 this semester. It'll be 2010 content in that in those podcasts. And let me just go ahead and quickly make note, while you're in there subscribing to other podcasts, I do recommend subscribing to other podcasts as well while you're in there. There are podcasts out there for Excel, PowerPoint, Word, other course topics that you might be interested in. Definitely be helpful. On number 7, the only thing on iTunes you have to watch for is, before you watch a podcast, make sure it downloads completely to your computer. Now, the great thing about iTunes U and podcasting is, once you subscribe to a podcast, you only have to do it once. You don't have to do it over and over again each time, okay? And so that'll be helpful. So I'll give you a week to do that, finish that up. Now let's go into, in the course documents, I want to go over the PowerPoint rubric real quick. This will be using each week. And basically what I'm going to do is, when you guys come in each week, you're going to have certain of these components to be finished on your final PowerPoint. I'll come around and check them off, and you'll notice each one of these have certain point values attributed to them. At the end of the 4th week, you will have completed almost all of these components, except for the last one here, exporting outline to Word. We'll do that the last night in week 5, okay? So everything you see on there, you will learn the first 4 weeks in class, and so I'll be printing that out actually next week when you guys come to class. I'll print this out and have you put your name on it, and we'll begin grading that grade tally. Okay, we're going to go back to lessons and click on week 1. I've already put in week 1 a Prezi, Prezi.com. I do want to recommend, which is a pretty cool website. Prezi.com is a website that allows you to create 3D animation slideshows. And what's cool about Prezi is, once you create a presentation, you're allowed to share that presentation with other folks. You're allowed to collaborate that presentation with other folks and to build upon that presentation. So Prezi.com is a free service to use. I do recommend it. And I already have a capstone Prezi in here we'll look at in just a second. But before we go to that, I want to go over the breakdown of each week, what we'll be covering. When you guys come in, we'll go over a PowerPoint, about PowerPoint, for about 20 minutes. We'll discuss it. As we're discussing it, you will be applying what we're talking about on your on PowerPoint 2010. And then you'll be actually applying what we've learned immediately to your final capstone. So in prior classes in Word and Excel, you guys had separate, like in Excel we used, I believe, the budget pretty much throughout. This one is going to be unique to everybody. Everyone will have your own capstone project that you work on that's yours. It can be a personal capstone, it can be a business capstone, it can be one for another class. And all capstone is a completed project. That's what capstone means. And so you'll be creating a completed PowerPoint project by the end of the 5th week, presenting it to each other on your row. And in the past, we've had everything from slideshows from Washington, where an 83-year-old created a slideshow that she took pictures of 20 years ago. Had that a couple semesters ago. It's pretty cool. From how to build a carburetor, how to rebuild a carburetor on a Chevy pickup. We've had how to bake a German chocolate cake that we're going to actually use in the Prezi tonight when I go through it, to how to change a tire on a car, okay? So a whole gamma we've had ranges of that, of PowerPoint presentations. And so I want you to have fun with it and think of right now, be thinking of a topic that you can choose in your life, whether it be in work, school, or hobby, that you could create a presentation about, okay? It can be a biographical presentation. It can be a topical presentation. It can be a how-to presentation, anything to your heart's desire. But I want you to choose something that's of a personal subject to you, that's something you're passionate about, something you're interested in, not just something you pull out of a hat. Thanks, Tina. And so make sure that you think about that right now, about what topic you're going to choose, what topic you're going to select, because once you choose that topic this week, that's it. So you have from now till next Wednesday literally to choose a topic, a whole week to think about it. That was pretty painless, wasn't it? A whole week to think about it. 23 News. It won't be tonight. It'll be sometime next week. So I'll let you know when. They're going to be doing a lot of editing on it. I'll let you guys know when it's going to be airing. But make sure when you choose your topic that you, again, stick with it. It's something you can stick with. So if you need to talk to your family, friends, coworkers, your boss, whoever, about this class, and you're going to do a PowerPoint, you might get some ideas from those folks, okay? If you're on Facebook, you might Facebook it. Ask a question. Believe me, you'll get responses real quick, right, from your friends. Well, hey, you can do one about that trip we did last year, or whatever, or the reunion we did. And so the topic is real important to choose. Next is the About Me. This really just gets everybody in here a chance to know a little bit about each other. Some of you have already had each other in this room and in the classes. Some of you are new to campus, or maybe it's been a while since you came back. All you're going to do is create a new post, type in your first and last name in the title field, copy and paste these questions in the new post, answer them, post it, and then read everybody's post and reply to at least 2 others, okay? Now you can reply more than 2, but reply to at least 2. You get full points by posting your own and replying to 2. That's the rules for the points. If you go beyond 2, you're not going to get extra credit, but you might want to, okay? And for sure, since you're meeting only once a week, it's a really good way to get to know each other. And it's not real personal questions, hopefully. Hopefully it's not too personal on your favorite food, favorite movie, hobbies, and name you go by, unless you're undercover, which that might be something, maybe, I don't know. Questions on that, on the week 1 About Me? That's due a week from tonight. You have a whole week. And how long will that take? Probably about 5 minutes. Okay, the next week one we have, due next week, because I want to get these out of the way first before we get fun with the Prezi, is a week 1 assignment. The week 1 assignment, you're going to create a title page for your PowerPoint capstone project. You say, I don't know what my topic's going to be about. That's fine. Because what you're going to do is you're going to add a title slide. You'll find out tonight how to do that in PowerPoint. Add a picture of yourself. Add a title project like how to bake a cake, or still under construction, whatever it is. If you don't have them chose yet by now on next Wednesday what your topic is. But by next Wednesday, since it's due a week from tonight, even if you wait till, let's say, Tuesday night to complete this, you should have your topic by then. Make sense? And so add your full name to the title slide, add the class name and my name, and then save it as your last name .pptx. Let me show you here what I'm talking about, what it should look like. This is actually a PowerPoint file. Here, okay, so there's an example of a title slide, how to bake a cake. Has my lovely mug there, piece of German chocolate cake, which is my favorite in the world. Love it. Oh, you did? Oh no, I'm jealous. Extra credit, that's right. In fact, what was it, 2 semesters ago, I had a student actually at the end of the class got me a big pan of German chocolate cake from scratch. Okay, I don't know what you did all 5 weeks, but you're getting an A. So there's an example of a title slide that we'll learn how to do tonight, and that's it. That's due next Wednesday. So you'll have the title of your presentation at the top. You'll have your picture in there. You could have another picture in here as well, like I do, the picture of the cake. If it's changing a tire, it could be a picture of a tire. If it's maybe a slideshow of your family, it could be maybe one of the family photos you put on there. So it doesn't have to be just your picture. The minimal requirement is the assignment, which is title, your picture, your name under your picture, and then at the bottom, our class name and my name. Make sense? That's the minimal requirement. That doesn't mean you can't add another photo to the title slide. In fact, most students do. They do add another photo to the title slide. But you're not required to that first week because you might not have one yet. But for sure you can have everything but the cake basically by next Wednesday. Okay? So you might not have a picture for your presentation yet. And you can add that later if you want to. Okay? Make sense? So that's due next Wednesday, and I'll actually show you here in just a second how that's done in PowerPoint. So let's go back to week 1. And I do have a Prezi here that I put together that I really like. I really love these. They call them Prezis. And we should be able to go full screen here. And I'll get you guys' opinion of this too, because it's a different type of presentation. Okay. Okay, so the first thing, step 1 in this Prezi is choose your topic. For your capstone, the first thing you've got to do is choose a topic. And I've already talked a little bit about it. Think of your topic that you want to create a presentation about. This topic can be biographical, personal, or for a business presentation, or for another class. I've had students use this to create a final, because some classes like English or speech or whatever might have you create a presentation in tandem with that class. So you can use it for that as well. Example, how to bake a German chocolate cake is the example we'll use throughout this Prezi for this presentation example. So you've got your step 1. Step 2, create a descriptive statement. So step 1 is get your topic. Step 2, create a descriptive statement. In this topic, I will is what you're going to come up with. In this topic, I will, or in this presentation, I will show you how to bake a German chocolate cake. Make sense? So here's my topic title. Here is my descriptive statement of that topic. What I'm going to do with this. I'm going to show you in this presentation my trip to, a slideshow of my trip to Washington. I'm going to show you in this presentation a historical beginnings of Rockford. I'm going to show you in this presentation where my family came from. Make sense? So that's a descriptive statement that you'll come up with. Step 3, reason and scope. The reason I chose this topic is what you'll come up with this one. The reason I chose this topic is because I love German chocolate cake and I want to show others how to make this great tasting cake. All right? So that's your reason and scope. So the reason I chose this is because we took a trip with my family 2 years ago. My grandmother has passed since then, and this presentation I'm going to share with my whole family at Christmas, something like that, as a keepsake to keep Grandma in our mind. So that's an example. Step 4, create the content. This is about creating a German chocolate cake is the example I'm using. So the content for mine would be ingredients, how to mix them, how to bake them, the toppings, how to serve, and how to store that German chocolate cake, ways I can store it. Then you always have at the end of the presentation a conclusion slide that asks, is there any questions? Okay? And since this is kind of nice here because you'll be presenting only at the most 2 to 3 more students on your row, and that's it. We have 3 or 4 missing tonight, so even at the most, you might have 2 to 3 max students you'll be presenting to on your row at week 5. And I've liked that because students, number one, don't feel as overwhelmed presenting to the whole class. I actually made that decision 4 or 5 years ago when I started teaching this class. Number two, because they're not overwhelmed by that, they know they're going to present to the row, which you will begin to, know them better over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks. You're more apt to spend more time on the presentation and really put a lot into it and be more creative. Does that make sense? Because the pressure is off about standing up here. Does that make sense? So that'll help you in that regard as well. And students have actually told me that because of the way we do it in this class for PowerPoint, and you're not presenting up here, because it's not a speech class, even though I think speech class is great. This is about how to learn how to use PowerPoint. How to learn how to use PowerPoint and speech is 2 separate things, okay? And so I'm trying to make it a little bit less overwhelming for students in the presentation mode, okay? You do critique each other during that 5th week, but it's only on content, which is the most important anyway, not on presentation, not on how you present yourself, okay? That makes sense? Because that's the most important part is the content and making sure you have all the components and everything in there you're supposed to have. Here is an example of a presentation on how to create a wireless network. It's a video, but it shows you all the slides here, starting with the title slide. This is actually the 2nd slide. And notice how components come in from the bottom on the slide. And what you would do is these components actually would come in one at a time as you talk about them, and it'd be driven by a spacebar key on your keyboard. You'll all have some type of graph on yours, like this last slide. Bullet points with animation, and these are actually going to be on every one of your presentations. Some type of animation on your bullet points on slides. And this just builds upon that. And then again, custom animation of those points coming in. A table. You'll have a table on your final presentation. And a conclusion. All right? So that's an example of a completed PowerPoint presentation using PowerPoint. Now what I want to do is kind of shift gears and go to week 1 PowerPoint in our lesson 1, or week 1 folder, I'm sorry. Week 1 PowerPoint. While I'm opening this up, go ahead and open up PowerPoint on your computer. If you click the Start button on your computer and go to All Programs, or Start on Microsoft Office, I'm sorry, and then go to PowerPoint. So Start Microsoft Office 2000. Okay. So one of the things we'll be doing on this tutorial here is we'll be going over just basics of PowerPoint and how to get around PowerPoint on your computer. Notice that the title of this says PowerPoint 2007, but it doesn't matter because it's the same content right down here. You need to go to the site I had opened up for you. Eagle. click on that link. And right up here, you have to click at the top. Go ahead and click open. And it should be open. And you might have to actually click on, see this bar right here that says click here for options and download file. You might do that. And then go ahead and go to the PowerPoint file. It'll take just a second to load. In fact, it should already be there if you left click on there. Go ahead and minimize your screen. Yeah, it looks like it's downloaded. It's taking forever to download on your computer. So you can look off his, and it's on the overhead too. Now while we're on PowerPoint though, I want you to basically, or while I had the slides on the overhead, you can go ahead and just go to you don't need to download this one. You guys can create a new one here, so you can go ahead and exit that out. Just go ahead and do File and go to New and Blank Presentation. Double click on that. Yeah, I'd like everybody to be on blank presentation. I'll go on the presentation on the overhead so you guys can kind of do some things while we're going over this. So you'll notice on 2010 on the left side, what they've done is from 2007 is they've replaced the Office button with the File menu. If everybody could go ahead and click on the File menu with your mouse, it's on the left side of your screen in PowerPoint. Just go ahead and click on that and hold it there for just a second. You'll notice some of the options here for you are saving, saving as, open, close, info, new, print, save and send, help, options, and exit. Okay? These have all been around since beginning of Office. There's no real change here, except for a couple things I want to make note of. If everyone would go to the print area where it says print, one of the big changes in Office 2007-2010 is you no longer have a print preview separate before you print. It's actually in the print menu. So if we had something in this presentation, it would show up there on the right side, and we could see what it's going to look like prior to presenting. Okay? So just kind of keep it there for right now. Okay, so what is PowerPoint? It's a powerful presentation graphic program that provides everything you need to produce an effective presentation in the form of on-screen slides, a slide presentation on a website, or a black and white or color overhead. Using PowerPoint, you can prepare each component of a presentation. Individual slides can be presented, speaker notes can be created, an outline can be created, and audience handouts can also be created. So from looking at your screen right now, the components of PowerPoint are fairly basic to all Office. Some of the new features that stand apart in PowerPoint is on the left side, you have a slide feature now. The slide feature in PowerPoint is right here. That's a new feature. Word, Excel does not have that. And what this is you actually can navigate your slides this way. You can also navigate it via outline as well. So I think I had you guys parked on the File menu, is that right? Go ahead and click, if you would, on the Home tab to where you kind of see what I'm talking about. If you will do this for me, click on the Outline tab. You're right now on the Slides tab. Click on the Outline tab. If you click on the Outline tab, it'll look like, if you go back to the View menu and you want to view your outline. In fact, if we go here to the Switch Windows, no, not that one. Go back to the File menu. Go to the Layout tab. No, it's not. It should be in the View tab. Go back to the View tab where was that? Okay, normal slide. probably going to be easier to close it out and reopen it. It sounds like, I don't know what. Yeah, just open it back up. Yeah, you got PowerPoint open up down here. Okay, let's go and go to the File menu. Go to New, and double-click there on Blank, and click on Outline. Okay. All right. Now, you're in the Outline view right now, and what I want us to do is we're going to play here for just a second. I'm going to show you a little trick here. When you're creating your PowerPoint, I'm going to go to Outline view. This is a new version of Office I have on my computer here. The internet was not working for me earlier, so yep. Okay, well, I'm going to go back to yours then. If you will do this, go ahead and type in the left side of your screen, in the outline area, go ahead and type in my title where your cursor is right now. You have to put your cursor to the left, to the right of the number 1. It says number 1, put your cursor in there. Go ahead and type in the word title. Okay. Go ahead and hit the Enter key. And notice it created a second slide. Go ahead and put in here intro. Enter again. Go ahead and put in this third slide, topic 1. So you have intro, you have title, intro, topic 1. Let's go ahead and do enter again, do topic 2. And then enter one more time and do conclusion. Okay? Now click back up, if you would, with your mouse to number 1, the number 1 slide. Okay? Which is the title slide. Okay? Now, if you go back from the outline view that you're on currently and click back to the slide view, you now see all the slides I just had you create real quickly in the outline view. Now, granted, the titles, excuse me, the titles are not fancy or anything right now. We're just worried about content right now and getting the content in there. The first slide you created tonight is called the title slide. The reason I know that is it has in it a title and then an area that says click to add subtitle. Does everybody see that, the little box? Go and click on slide 2 for me. What's different about that one? It's got a title at the top, but what's different in the bottom part? Yeah, you have more options there. You have the click to add text. Also, you'll notice the 6 little boxes. If you hover your mouse over, starting with the top left little box, it'll tell you what each one of them does. Just hover them over one at a time. Everything from charts to graphs to pictures to movies can be imported into this page or into the slide from these components. That's also a new feature in PowerPoint 2007, 2010, allowing you that ability to do that. Let's see, go back to my original here. No, it does not. I'll cancel out that presentation there. Okay. So here's my view actually in my presentation we're looking at tonight. You'll notice on my outline view, I can see my titles, I can see my bullet points on each one of the slides. It doesn't show you the pictures, it just shows you the text only on outline view. And that's nice to have to determining your content. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my normal view. So go back to slide 1 for me if you would. And I'm going to go ahead and insert a slide while you're going back to slide 1. Okay. So you have a title. You also have a subtitle, I believe, on yours that you're using. Is that correct? Let me see if I can apply a different design here real quick. There's going to be a little different template design, but that's fine. On your subtitle one, let me go back to this title. On your subtitle slide, go ahead and put in there your first and last name, if you would, for me. Okay. Go to the slide 2 for me. And on slide 2, you should actually have I believe, a bullet point available to you, title and content slide, like this one. I think I guys put intro on that one. Okay, on this one here, I want you to put in the first bullet point, I want you to put first point, hit enter, second point. Okay. And so what you're doing here is actually beginning to add content to that slide this way. And the other way now you could add content, if you'll click on that outline view, you guys have a tab on yours, I believe. Go back to the outline view and put your cursor right where mine is on the intro for slide 2, on the end of second point. And go and hit the enter key one time. Everybody see that? And when you hit the enter key one time, you should see a gray bullet point. This one I want you to do is on your home tab, you guys should have in the paragraph section this icon right here, which is called decrease indent or increase indent here. If you click on the decrease indent, tell me what happens. Creates another page, right? Creates another slide page for you, correct. And so what you can do is, in your outline, not only can you create pages like we've already done here, slides like we've already done here, we can also create other slides in here as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and put in here intro 2 on this slide, and then hit enter, and then I want you to hit increase indent, and that'll create a bullet on that slide. So you should have intro 2 you just created in the outline, okay, like I just did. And then when you hit the increase indent, it's going to now make that a bullet. Go ahead and put in there first point where my cursor or my pointer is on the overhead. Hit enter and hit second point like we did before on the prior slide. Now if everybody could go ahead and click Control S on your keyboard. Do what now? You just need to go back to that slide that did that and then do a decrease indent. Yeah. Yep. Decrease. You're doing increase. Keep going. There you go. Then hit enter. Hit enter. There you go. Then you want to do increase indent. Nope, increase indent right there. There you go. There's your bullet. First point and second point, just like we did on this intro. For intro 2, you're going to do the same as I did on intro 1. Are you wanting to make a slide or another bullet point? If you want to make a bullet point, increase indent. Okay, I'll come over there. If you put your cursor on the end of that line, you should be able to manipulate whether it's increase or decrease. Yeah, that's right. Intro 2, hit enter. Okay, now increase indent. We'll make it a bullet. It'll be just like mine. There you go. How do you fix that? Remember, you just increase indent. Increase indent. It'll bring that second point back. Hit enter. Decrease. There you go. Now type in intro 2. Hit enter. And then increase. And then you'll type in first point on the first bullet, second point on the second bullet. And then go ahead and do the Control S. When you do Control S, it'll prompt you to save it somewhere. Go ahead and save it to your desktop on your computer as your last name. Okay? On the left side of your computer, you should have a favorites area, I believe. Favorites, click on favorites. Then double click on desktop that you'll see there, that'll show up. Then on the file name, just go ahead and put in there your last name. If you need help with that, ask your neighbor and they'll help you. That have had me before. We save everything on the desktop. Now make sure you double click on desktop before you hit save because it's still in favorites. There you go. There it is. Now you're good. And then save it as your last name. So far we've began to create a PowerPoint in the outline view, that's the one I recommend doing because you're not worried about an outline view, pictures, graphics, video, tables, anything like that. Okay? The content that we went over in Prezi, the outline of my German chocolate cake, would basically be put in outline view. Once I get it like I want it, then I switch it to slide view, normal view, to where I can actually begin adding pictures, graphs, animation, things like that. That's the last step. Okay? The first step is what we're talking about tonight, which is getting your outline created for your presentation, the one we went over in the Prezi tonight, which is your title, your descriptive information, your content, your conclusion. Getting all that content typed out. It could be on a notepad document. It could be, as simple as document as possible, that outline I'm talking about. You take that outline, then you begin to plug it in the outline view in PowerPoint, and each one of those topics then become a title for your presentation. Now granted, each one of those outlines, like say my ingredients one I had, that could be 3 slides. That could be ingredients, ingredients, ingredients. And on each slide, it could have 4 or 5 bullet points about those ingredients, okay? And so in the outline view is where you put the content, okay? The reason I tell you to put content in outline view is so you're not concerned at all with GUI interface, graphical interface stuff, like pictures, movies, charts, even the font type or size. Don't care about that right now. You're just getting content in and getting your slides in. Now, while we're talking about slides, let me talk about bullet points in slides. You notice ones we created here, real short and sweet. That's the way you want your bullet points to be. The rule on bullet points is this. You want your bullet points to be on a slide. You got your title. You want no more than 6 bullet points. I try to stay around the 5 area, but you can go maximum 6. So if you do 4 to 6 bullet points per slide, you're good. On each bullet point, you want the text to be such a size that it's nice to read And so you're only going to get on max, on average, between 4 and 8 words per bullet point. Okay? That's it. The text is not going to be small. It's going to be pretty good size. So I'll put in here 4 to 8 words per bullet point. Because all you're doing is this right here. On a slide, you're hitting the highlights. That's it. This is not in-depth information. Okay? A slideshow is not designed to be in-depth information. A research paper, yes. A white paper, yes. Presentations, no. A great example of presentations in my mind, and it's actually used for Dale Carnegie School of Sales. Every big firm sends their folks to these guys. Apple does the best, cleanest presentations known to man. Watch the last keynote that they did over the iPad mini or any of the iPad ones. Watch the presentations. A lot of the slides have one word or one picture or one graph or one movie. That's it. Very simple. If they do have bullet points, they might have up to 4 bullet points on their slides, and that's about it. Okay? Because people get bored with text. They're captivated, though, by pictures, a word that really means a lot, a movie. They're not so much captivated by a title and 4 boring bullet points with no graphics at all, or no, eye-catching information at all on that slide. If you want something to capture your information, and if it's small text, it's real hard to keep their, it's hard to keep the audience's focus if the text is real small and hard to understand. Does that make sense? And so make sure it's short and sweet. And probably one of the misnomers with PowerPoint when students begin creating PowerPoint is the information that's in the PowerPoint. The information is not overwhelming. It's highlighted information, okay? So if you have a research paper that's 300 pages, you can do a PowerPoint in 30 pages, 30 slides of those 300 pages. You're basically taking it down to that level. You're taking the best information, condensing it down into concise bullet points per slide. Okay, does that make sense? So it takes some time to think about wording and how to word things a little better. And that's why I give you a whole week to think about just your topic, but then I don't, and it might take you guys maybe 2 to 3 weeks to really get down, at least 2 weeks to get down the actual outline part, at least 2 weeks from beginning to end, that complete outline. Because once you get that complete outline done in the outline view, you're good to go. I mean, all the other stuff is easy. It's the fun stuff, I call it. The fun stuff, right? This is the harder stuff. The outline is definitely the harder part. But if you get that knocked out the first couple weeks, the reason I want you to get it knocked out the first couple weeks is because weeks 3 and 4, we really focus on some of the heavier component graphical stuff, like charts, graphs, sound, media, animation, the bells and whistles of the PowerPoint, okay? So content is king, basically, in PowerPoint, but it's real easy, digestible, and it is highlighted information, okay? So when you give your audience a PowerPoint presentation, they should be wanting more, not wanting to run out, okay? Okay, we've all been there. Okay, so let's go over your tab information on your presentation. So let me switch here. To slide view here real quick. I'm going to go back to normal view. You guys just stay where you're at right now. Okay, now you'll notice in your slideshow in PowerPoint, on the bottom right corner of your slideshow, of your PowerPoint screen, is a number of different items. There's a normal view, slide sorter view, and slideshow view, okay? And if you hover your mouse over the icons in the bottom right portion of your screen, you will see those. Let me go back to the slide that shows that real quick. So if you go to, right now, on your computer, this right here is a normal button, which you should be on right now. Go ahead and click on this one right here, the slide sorter button. It should like 4 little icons in a box. Notice what it does there. It breaks it down into, where you can drag and drop your slides basically around. You can rearrange stuff. And so go ahead and practice that real quick right now. Click on any slide in here. It doesn't matter if we're just practicing, not playing around. Click on a slide and drag it in between 2 other slides and release it. If you click and hold your mouse on a slide, drag it in between 2 other slides and release your mouse, it's going to plop it right there in that area. Now let's do this. Click on the third icon, which is a slideshow button. The slideshow button, and I'm pointing to it here on the overhead. It looks like a little presentation icon, like a TV or like an overhead projector kind of thing. And it'll bring it into full view. Now, if you go ahead and hit the space bar on your keyboard, if you weren't on the last slide, you should be able to advance all the way to the end where it says end of slideshow. Another shortcut I'll talk to you about tonight and show you is the F5 keyboard command. The very key that starts the slideshow, just hit the F5 key on your keyboard, top row, goes right to the slideshow view. To advance your slideshow, there's 3 ways to do it. Space bar is one way. The left and right arrow keys is the second way, and your mouse is the third way, okay? The easiest is going to be your space bar if you're advancing all the time. But if you do need to go back, the left and right arrow keys is probably the second suggestion I have. But if you're just going through from beginning to end on a presentation, which you are for the most part in a presentation, space bar is fine, okay? They do make pointers and clickers to do this as well that are wireless. Let me stop about reversing. When you're in a presentation, we do it in class because we're just learning about stuff. But when you're in a presentation, say you forget a bullet point in a large audience of people. You got a 30 slideshow presentation. You're on the 15th slide, and you forgot bullet 3 out of 5. And you realize it after you already went to the next slide. Forget about it. Do not go back. First rule of thumb, do not go back ever. They're not even going to notice it. I'm not joking. If you notice it, it's great, but maybe you won't even notice it until after it's over. But they will definitely not notice it, okay? They will notice it, though, if you go back, okay? Yeah, they will notice it. Exactly. Just do not go back, right? Keep going forward. Do not go back. Do not rewind. Just keep going forward with your presentation. That's a really good rule of thumb when you are giving your presentations in PowerPoint, okay? So that's your slide sorter view, your slideshow view, your normal button view. It also has a notes pane view. I've already went over all this.
What's the reading view?
The reading view is actually a view. You can click on it. I don't like it. I never use it. It basically puts it in like a mini slideshow view. Yeah, it puts bars on the top and bottom. I've never really seen a use for it. I'm guessing there could be, but I've never really seen one personally to use it in any presentation or even designing purposes, but they have one in there anyway. I don't use it at all. Okay, now let's talk about this. Let's everybody go to the slideshow view, which is the one with the little boxes, the 4 little boxes view. That shows you all the slides on one screen. And little box view, little tile views, right? Click on, let's say, slide 1 of your presentation. Go up to the top where it says transition. Let's do that one. Okay? Click on any one of those transitions that says transition to the slide. Just go ahead and click on those randomly. Just go ahead, and it'll actually show you the transition as it occurring. So again, click on slide 1, then play around with those transitions to the slide. Just go ahead and click through a number of them. And you'll notice it will give you a preview of that transition if you were to apply it to that slide. And what it is just that. It's a slide transition. When a person comes to that slide, that's a transition it comes to when it hits that slide. We actually hit that this semester, or this 5 weeks. The next one you'll notice is animations. In that same view, if you go to the animations tab, click on, let's go to, and this time let's go to intro, the intro one. Let's go to the intro one. Click on the bullet points that you have in your intro, one right there. Then I want you to go ahead now and double click on intro. Double click on the slide intro for me. Double click on the slide intro. You're still on, you should still be on animations. Take your mouse and put it on the text box that has your bullets, the first point, second point bullet points. Take your mouse and just click over there one time. Everybody do that? You should see now green stars show up at the top. Go ahead and click on those green stars, any one of them, it doesn't matter which one, on those animations. Go ahead and do that. Click on any of these green stars at the top where it says animation. It'll actually give you a preview again of those animations. Okay? Now animations, what we're doing right there is actually called progressive disclosure. It's an animation called progressive disclosure, which brings in items one at a time according to what you've selected, whether it be a fly in, a fade, fly out, left, right. And these will actually come in when they're applied. As you hit the space bar, if you have 5 bullets and you have the same progressive animation applied, they'll come in one at a time on your slideshow. As you hit the space bar, 1 point at a time will come in, and that's called progressive disclosure. You're only seeing the information as I disclose the information progressively. Make sense? So that's a fancy term for progressive disclosure. Footer information, you'll notice on your slides or on slideshows you've seen maybe, there's been footer information there. Again, if you go on the top of your menu there, your bars there, we call them ribbons in Office, go over to the Insert tab for me. In the Insert tab, there's a header and footer area in the text group. Go and click on the header and footer, and you should see a box pop up. In that header and footer area, I want you to go ahead and check mark at the bottom where it says footer only, and type in there your last name, just for fun. We're going to do this. And then click Apply to All on the Apply to All button. Then you should now see on every slide now your name show up at the bottom of that slide in the footer. That's as easy as it is with progressive or with viewing a presentation and beginning to add animation. That's why I told you this is kind of the fun stuff. This is after you start adding in your outline, what we're doing here. But I'm just kind of giving you a preview real quick tonight of some of the stuff you'll be learning and doing. Okay, so I'm going to camp on this one and it'll be done. I'm going to be easy on you tonight. Okay, we're going to be done on this one. Okay, here's what, and this is really important to get. Planning a presentation before you create it. I showed you a little sneak preview of PowerPoint tonight, how to get around it a little bit, some of the views, how to enter in information through outline, how to enter in a footer information, how to go in and do some animations, moving slides around. But let's talk about planning first. Okay, now that we've learned some of the bells and whistles a little bit, this first week I want you to work on this part right here, planning your presentation. And that outline I gave you at the first of class on that Prezi, that's already in week 1, by the way, you can watch it over and over again, on how to create your title, how to create your descriptive information, how to create your outline, how to create your conclusion. That's what you want to come up with the next week, basically. So really the homework for you this next week, it really isn't PowerPoint. It's actually creating your outline. Boring, right? The kids say boring, and it is boring. And you have to maybe make yourself do it, right? You literally might. Some of you love this, by the way. I can tell. Some of you love this. I can tell. You're like, I love doing this part. The graphic stuff I don't want to do. I want to do the outline. So you might, maybe the kids who don't want to do the outline can pay you to do their, no, I'm just kidding. And then you can pay them to do the graphic. No. So anyway, what you want to do is come up with your outline, because planning a presentation is important before you create it. Just like building a house, you have to have a blueprint. Well, it makes sense also with a PowerPoint to have some type of outline to show before you begin building that PowerPoint. It does improve the quality. That doesn't mean you won't change stuff as you go along. It does not mean that by an outline. It doesn't mean you're done totally with your text. You might decide you need to add something towards the end, or delete something, right? Or modify some text throughout. But you'll get 90% of it done in your outline for sure. It saves you time and effort, because if you don't create an outline, you don't be plan for your presentation by creating an outline. And that's the whole idea behind doing a capstone and getting the outline done the first week. If you force yourself to create this outline, it'll save you hours of time in your presentation. Because if you think about it, if you already have all your titles for your slides, all the bullet points for your slides, from beginning to end, before you ever begin any formatting, any animation, any pictures, any graphs, any video, that's the fun stuff, what I just mentioned, by the way. If you have your text part done, you can get right into the meat of the PowerPoint, which is taking your boring text and adding life to it, okay? But if you don't spend time on the outline, you're going to be stumbling along on slide 3 in 3 weeks because, gee, I can't think of what this should have on this slide. So you see what I mean? You're going to be worried about text. You don't need to be worried about text. Get the content done first, this first week, a real quick outline, really simple outline, nothing real complex from beginning to end, and then plug that in to your PowerPoint. We'll do that next week, start doing that next week and playing with it. It'll save you tons of time when you're creating your presentation, okay? And as you plan your presentation, you're going to have to determine some of these things, but really for this first week, I don't want you to focus on really, well, the purpose is good because that's actually in the capstone's content. Okay, audience, not so much. Audience needs, not so much for what we're doing. Because you can format all that stuff when you get to the, after you get the outline done. Location, formatting, all that stuff. But the purpose of presentation, that's good. Type of presentation, that's great. Those are 2 good things in the first part of the book it talks about. The one thing I want to add, though, to that is everything else it talks about. When you first begin planning, don't worry about it. Don't worry about audience, needs, location, or format at this point. You're just getting content right now. You can go ahead and tweak all that stuff later. Does that make sense? If you get the content first, it'll help you a lot. Now, when you create an outline, this is how I always create outlines. You have to be in a mood to do it if you're like me. But when you get in a mood to where you say, you know, I'm going to take an hour, I'm going to block it out. If you have to leave your house to do it, some of you might have to do that. Come on campus, in your car maybe, whatever, get away. What you want to do is just start jotting stuff down without thinking about it, if that makes sense. Don't put a lot of thought into it at first. The rough draft part is real, just fly through it. The second time around, after you get that rough draft, that's when you start tweaking your thought a little bit. Okay, well, this fits here, this fits there. Maybe this point should go here, this point should go, you know, stuff like that the second time around. By the third time around, you're really polishing that outline from beginning to end. You're putting some thought in it from intro to conclusion, okay? And by the time you've done that third round with your outline, you're pretty well set then to begin plugging it in to your PowerPoint presentation. And this is what I want to kind of share with you now once you do that. This will help you a lot when you start putting it in your outline. So we've already went over the outline view, right? So this is what I recommend doing. And this works great. It'll save you a lot of time. So you spend a week on your outline, right? Put it in a notepad, on a piece of paper, whatever, from beginning to end. What you do is when you put it on paper, you can actually do it here as well. You can visualize it on paper. So your beginning slide, your title slide, how many slides does that take? One. So I put on my paper, one. My second intro, one. My first point into my presentation, I'm going to say, you know, that might take 2 slides because I have one line of information on my outline, but the content I know is quite a bit, but I want to cover it well. I don't want to be too much, but not too little either. So I'm going to say 2 slides on this one, this part of my outline. The next one's going to be 1, maybe the next one 2, the next one 2, the next one 1, and then finally my conclusion slide, 1. This is my title, intro, and then all these are my actual content. So basically I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 slides for my presentation from what I think it will take. Now, will that change? Definitely it could change as far as how many number. You might get to slide 2 on this one and decide, you know, I really need 1 more slide. I just cannot fit it into 2 slides. I know Professor Conkle said I can only have 6 bullets. I've already put 6 bullets on each slide, and I want to share 2 more bullets. I can't shove them in there, so I'm going to split up those bullets now, maybe make 4, 4, and 4 or something like that. Okay? Does that make sense? And so you want to be thinking of that when at the last portion of your outline, you're going to begin attributing numbers to that outline on how many slides you might think it would take. And you're not thinking at this point about pictures, graphics, movies, which you will be doing in your presentation. This is just content only, bullet points only. That make sense? Because you will be adding, by the way, once it's all in here, you'll be adding in between certain things like graphs, charts, videos, things of that nature that you don't even have on the outline yet. Okay? And I don't want you to think about them yet either this first week. Does that help? So this first week between now and next Wednesday, you've got the About Me, you have the title slide, and all I want you to do on the title slide is what I showed you on the example for week 1. Just a picture of yourself. At the top of it, the title will be the title of your presentation or your capstone. You have a week to do that. Also at the bottom, our class name and my name, and that's it. You don't need to put any other picture. At this point, most of you won't have a picture yet. Some of you might have if you're doing a family album or whatever, or a trip you took. That's pretty easy. But I'm not expecting anything but what I just mentioned the first week, okay? Creating that first slide. And by the way, when you create that first slide the first week, I'm going to have you bring that slide in to class next Wednesday. So bring it in on your USB thumb drive because we're going to be beginning to do our little check off on our rubric starting next week. Do not worry about printing the rubric out between now and next week. In fact, don't even look at the rubric because I don't want you to get confused. Don't even read it. All I want you to focus on between now and next Wednesday is what? Outline. That's it. The title slide is going to take you literally 5 minutes to create, if that much. Don't put a lot of thought on the title slide yet. Okay? You're just firing up PowerPoint, creating a title slide, saving it, and then bringing it on a USB flash drive next Wednesday. Okay? I'll grade it in class. In fact, this class is different from any other office class I teach in that I grade your stuff in class at the first of every session starting in week 2 and check it off on your little list that you've got it done. Now say you're supposed to get 3 items done, which at the end of every week it'll say, starting with week 2 anyway, it'll tell you, in fact week 1 has it in there as well, it'll tell you what components on that rubric is supposed to be completed that week, okay? And I'll check that off, but say you're missing one. You say, you know, I struggle with this one, I just won't check it off. You're not going to get any less grade for it that week, I just won't check it off. But you have to have it all completed by the 5th week when you come to class. On that 4th week, you'll have 95% of that stuff checked off. You might have a few stragglers out there you've been struggling with. You know, I haven't figured out where to put a table yet. I'll think about it. I've got, you know, bounce some ideas off of me, and I'll help you out, you know, help each other out with that. And so don't be bogged down with stuff like that with the rubric. The rubric is just a grading tool for me So you know that you've done exactly what it says on the rubric by week 5, from beginning to end, including the presentation, including the peer-to-peer evaluation on week 5, including the presentation on week 5. It'll all be done. And when you leave on week 5, you will have that rubric in hand with a grade circled along with the CD of your presentation as you walk out of the class. So there's no question of what's my hand. That's it. But the difference is you're not going to get a weekly grade in this class.